So you just saw Western region. It's one of my favorite regions. I believe that this region is going to become the Texas of Africa. This is where we are going to have the most industrial plants, the most mineral, the most agro products to be processed, and it's right next to the coast. We can supply Africa, and even supply the world. We have to take the Western region very serious. 420 something billion, it's something for us to take very serious because one, it's going to create all the jobs in the western side and even bring people from other parts of Ghana. We are going into wealth creation. And I want to do this with you, Ghana. As you can see, wealth creation comes with job creation. But we produce 200,000 barrels of oil per day in Ghana. We sell this and then, in fact, we let people extract it, go and refine it, then we go back to Europe and buy the same product, premium, and sell our fuel at 15 point something cents per liter. All we have to do is build our refineries, and we will have competitive prices, and we will save the losses in the economy, the inflation in the economy, just because of industrialization. As we can see also, just our oil can also produce us all the petrochemicals. We don't need to import products. We need to export products. The more we import products, the more we drive our economy out of this country. The more we export products, the more we take in other people's economy into our country. And the more we would export, it means we have created jobs. You know, this is going to make Ghana become the powerhouse of Africa. Okay? We cannot do agriculture without the culture. Now you can see that we have a lot of farmers in Ghana, but we don't have the processing plant to process the farming products. So we do the agriculture, but we don't do the culture. The culture is the 7 times of processing one product, like cocoa. It can be chocolate, it can be cocoa butter cream, it can be a shampoo, it can be so many things. And there is the brownfields to create other things from this one product and create more jobs. As you can already see, 800,000 jobs per year within these 16 regions. That makes it at least 50,000 people getting a job in the region. I mean, I'm being conservative with the 8 million jobs in 10 years. But, to be honest with you, a machine, a plant, is the only thing that can give you jobs. 3 different shifts. 8 hours times 3 a day. That is what I call 24-hour economy. You need industrialization. Who sells Gary for 24 hours in Makala? The women in Kedetia and Tantamanto cannot work for 24 hours. It will take a factory, it will take a plant, a production line to give 3 shifts a day. No industrialization, no 24-hour economy. I have brought you your economic freedom. With all this potential, how do we connect our regions and transport the supplies on the industrial scale? That takes you to pillar 2. We've just finished with pillar 1. I can tell you. All right, ready? Play one more video. Go. Well, we have just finished with pillar 1, and I would like to introduce you to pillar 2. I want a nation to give me this moment and pay me this attention, because this is truly a vision, a policy, a developmental agenda, and with or without me, it must be applied. So let's go to pillar 2. Pillar 2 is a water transportation and inter-regional railway connectivity. This is Ghana's first water transportation. Now, as you can see, in the olden days, our fathers really had respect for these natural resources that we came to make. But today, we don't have value for it anymore. We have to remember everything that we eat from on this land is grown by the water on this land. And there's so many regions that we can connect to by connecting the water. So let me tell you my vision about the water connectivity infrastructure. Now, one thing that I can see in this country, Lake Volta is the largest man-made lake in the world. Why are people not visiting Ghana to view Lake Volta? In fact, what have we done on Lake Volta? You have billions of dollars sitting in Lake Volta. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But our national grid of water transport is something that we should look at. When we look at maybe even going here and pointing to some of these things you're seeing here, okay? And I know this brings us to the moment of the sea coming to Kumasi. But as you can see, this is Cape Coast right here. And this is the Gulf of Guinea. So I can enlarge it for you to see. So this is Cape Coast. Right here, this river, River Pra. And I'm so sorry to mention what has happened to it, but we'll get to that. River Pra leads all the way to Ofin and goes over there to Anum and goes there to Birim and to Poporidia. So here is Kumasi right here. Okay, you can see it. Now what we have to do is something called industrial dredging. You can go back and look at countries like Egypt that have used and dredged and have canals that generate 9.4 billion a year. Canals are meant for a lot of things, and the water transportation are also meant for a lot of things. The irrigation of this country for all our plants and all our crops would need industrial irrigation. So we need to do it one way or the other to support the system. The ferries, the cruises, the leisure, the transportation and the logistics that will move all the industrial products that we are about to manufacture will be pooled on this water. Irrigation and purification and logistics is one of the most important things in this world. Now, I can tell you that Ghana imports almost 89% to 92% of the things in this country. How did it get here? At least a fraction of 90% of that came on the water. So we need to make use of our water. It's very, very important. And leisure will bring so much for tourism. So, with the support of us connecting all this water together, we are not only going to have an industrial scale to support the agriculture, but also we will raise tourism and we will have the biggest distribution channel that connects to the coast. And the coast can connect to the world. We intend very soon to supply the world with what we're about to industrialize with the 16th Industrial Revolution. Now, not only that, I know I've been talking about water, but I know that's not the only infrastructure that you need for transportation or for logistics. The railway network is part of our vision. Our vision is to develop a comprehensive railway network exceeding 8,000 kilometers. That is 1.5 million tons of steel. It will be very difficult to import this from outside. That's why we have our eyes on the iron ore in the Industrial Revolution. And some is in the east, and some are other parts of Ghana. we will be able to manufacture our own steel and create that 8,000 kilometer railway track that will cost us billions of dollars if we have to bring it out on contract. And connect and build the Eastern Corridor, the Western Corridor, and guess what? The gist of this vision is to also drive the railway to the three borders that faces Ghana. The one in Togo, the one in Burkina Faso, and the one to Ivory Coast. When it gets to the edge, we stop. That is us creating new transportation and logistical paths, and not remain on the colonial roads that were built for us. Now we're making our own paths to distribute our own goods. But when it gets to the border, the government of that country is responsible to continue. This is going to give us a railway and a speedway around West Africa. Once every country continues from there. Well, I'd like to tell you something. It's likely when we get to the border, Ghanaians will be contracted to continue the railways. Because guess what? We will have the steel, we will have the skills. Just like what the English did to Europe. Once you have the skills, once you have the funds, and once you have the reserves, and you have industrial power, you're in control. And so, this is our plan for Pillar 2. And as you can see, the water connectivity is important and the railway connectivity is coming down. Now, the moon needs the sun to shine, right? So does the Pillar 2. It needs Pillar 3 to thrive. So let me introduce you to Pillar 3, and that is our developmental policy 3. Energy, city, and a technology hub. Energy city. And I know most people haven't probably seen this, but energy city is built in countries like Bahrain, Qatar, many places. That's a consolidated energy resources and pipelines and big offices that connects with all mineral resources that produce energy. So our energy city is definitely fit to add value to our industrial mission, to be able to create more megawatts, to be able to create more substations when we tap into our gas pipeline, to be able to use our gas and our water. As you can see, there is hydroelectric power plants in Afghanistan. There will be wind farms, there will be solar farms, thermal power plants, such as natural gas and biomass power plants.
Let's check the audio for the playback.
Our energy sources will need to meet our industrial demands and the demands of our people. We need to build pipelines, and it's very important. I mean, when I say pipelines across the regions to support the energy system and the infrastructure. But all of this is great to do. Ghana, just remember, we need even to move with a larger step going forward. I want to say this, 640 million people in Africa do not have access to energy. I don't know if you know this, it's more than 50% of Africa's population. But let me use this opportunity to introduce a sub-division idea behind this policy or this vision. And that is introducing the nuclear power plant in this country. We will be one of the main people and one of the best in the world to have taken this idea and implemented. Nuclear energy is rare in the world, and more so in Africa. But we have a chance to establish international relationships. We also have the chance to now trade uranium with Niger and Namibia. That's connecting already. To be able to build this, we will position ourselves as the heart of Africa. Nuclear power plants does not only reduce the cost per kilowatt, but it just makes electricity affordable. It is accessible. But we need it because they have it. but we don't. And we're struggling. More than 50% of us still don't have light in 2024 when we have millennium city. No energy, no technology. But technology is a must. Ghana needs a technology hub. And that's why we combined technology hub with the energy city. When I say technology hub, I don't know if the old school will really understand what I mean, but I will have to break it down. Okay? It's a combination of Silicon Valley and a whole industrial platform. Okay? To build all technological gadgets that the world demands. Everybody today is holding an iPhone, or they have a laptop, or they have a tablet. But we don't produce these things in our country. We have the minerals already. We have lithium. We have recycled plastic. Going into industrialization is going to give us the capacity to be able to build our own mobile phones and our own laptops, and we can produce our schools with laptops that will teach them what we want them to learn right from the beginning. We are in control of our destiny by producing it ourselves. And it's there. We just need to make sure that we put this plant and get this energy and produce this product and do this packaging and trade it to the world. That is creating jobs, creating value, and being in control. See, one would think it's only mobile phones and laptops and electricals that we need when we're building a technology hub. No. Data centers. Our data centers are very, very important. So we intend to build more data centers, okay, to support the technology hub. But when they talk about data center, a lot of people think data center is just to store information and data. No, it goes beyond that. We want to position ourselves for the crystal farm in the world. So what our data centers is going to do is that it's going to start mining digital coin, tokenization. We will tokenize. We will mine digital coins. We will mint. And I know the young people need to understand where I'm going with that, because they know the future. This is the future of finance. And it's trillions, multi-trillions of dollars. We need to tap into this industry and have the power for them to create a demand from us. This is going to make us become the gateway to the multi-trillion dollar Web3 industry in Africa. This technology hub is going to put us ahead. We envision that Ghana leads the software revolution in Africa and the hardware revolution in Africa. We need data centers, and we do, to even support our artificial intelligence and deep learning. It's obvious that no energy, no technology. That said, without industrialization, there will be no digitization. It is impossible. Hashtag, it is impossible. No industrialization, no digitization. Let me take you to Pillar 4. I know you're with me. One of my favorite pillars. See, we have been talking about all these great things, and all these developments, and all this wealth building, and all of this job creation. But there's one thing that I learned from our ancestors. You know, when I was learning from how the older people governed this world, the likes of the Egyptians, and the King Solomons, and the Mansa Musas, and all the Americans and Europeans, they took one thing serious that Africans are not taking serious. And that is reserves, reserves, reserves. Even an ant stores food. You need to store things. You need to have reserves. We are a nation of 33 billion people. What have we prepared for our future? Where is our oil reserves? Where is our gold reserves? I mean, up until recently, we had only 7 tons in our central bank. And this information is public information up until recently. I don't know if it's really gotten to 14 now, the last time they needed more funds just to borrow money. But that's all. And you have the likes of multinational companies like the Goldfields, and they have moved 300s of tons from this country, and we can only have 7 tons as our reserves. Why is Qatar keeping 500 tons as reserves? Why does England have 3,000 something just gold reserves? Why? I mean, what is it going to cost us to build our own hard rock mine? To go for the target, I want to take that first 200 tons as reserves in this country. I will do whatever it takes, because I already have the gold on the ground. And we, as the new force, as the new generation of leaders who are thinking with vision, we would make sure that we create that reserve for gold, and funds for money will not be a problem. But not only that you need in reserves, not just gold or not just oil. Some of the biggest things in this world, you will surprised, is the food we eat every day. Is the basic necessity. And if you can have that, you have the opportunity and the power to feed the world. So we intend to build the biggest seedling bank and have food security for 100 years. It's called agro reserves. That's what we need. We would nourish this. We would actually feed this. And we are going to have food for a good 100 years reserved. The farmers will buy from us. If Ivory Coast run out of cocoa, they will buy from us. If India needs food, they will buy from us. This will make us like Joseph, feeding the 7 years of famine, because we have kept the reserves. There's general minerals that we can keep reserved. There is copper, there is iron, there is bauxite. All we have to do is keep extracting, keep creating the jobs with the people, and letting them have the chance to be able to bring these things out of the ground and keep it as reserves. Because whenever you refine any of this, or you plant any of this, the value can be from times 5 to 10 or 15. It quadruples. It triples. It multiplies. Well, I've been talking about food. I've been talking about gold reserves. I've been talking about food reserves. All these reserves. It's for the states. It's for the nation. This is what I call a career, the real career. Because you need an equity of what belongs to you. As one, we have to have a share of whatever that is on our grounds. We have to get jobs from it. We have to create wealth out of it. And we have to get the skill set out of what belongs to us. It's on our ground. We are the landlord of Ghana. It should be shared among us equally. But with all the reserves, there's one thing that I would like to ask. And I know you probably never thought of it. But why do we buy money? Why do we have to go to England or go to Switzerland to get a room to print our money, and after we fly or ship the money before we have money? What happened to the industrial power that we're creating now? We are going to print money alone. We don't need to go to England or America to print money. We don't need to go anywhere else to go and buy food and bring it here. We don't need to pay 7 times the taxes of whatever that is already in our country and someone has just packaged it. We go and buy it for premium price and bring it back here. That stops. Because we are going to create it here. Now that we have more reserves, and have even cash reserves, what is next? Fellow Ghanaians, I like to say this. Pillar 5. This, even when we are not here, this should take us through the centuries. This should not make you just remember me. This to make you know that when I'm not here, my husband will be back. Because I have found a way to take you back to Susu, where you came from, how your ancestors, your older gods, your fathers survived in the 500 BCs. We are going to create the National Sovereign Wealth Fund. This is the new IMF. Well, at this very point, I think that Ghana is going to help me launch the new IMF, because verbally it said, but physically, mentally, we are about to implement it. This pillar is a new policy, and it will disrupt, and dissolve. But eventually, it will rebuild our heritage value. In the past, our minerals have been extracted and exported for pennies. We're ending it. The National Sovereign Wealth Fund is the new IMF, independent and autonomous. It will collect every reserve, and it will keep it, and it will protect it. But nobody have to pretend they're not accountable or responsible for our own anymore, because now it's secure within the national fund. And if anybody needs anything within the ministries or the government, let them go to the fund, and they will know this fund has more wealth than IMF or the World Bank can ever give them. And they will know it all came from this ground. It's the reserves, your gold, your cocoa, the 100 years of seedling bank, the tax reserves. I mean, feed the fund, 100 billion barrels of oil, 100 years of seedling reserves. All of this is going to be in the wealth fund of Ghana. Now let me tell you the interesting thing about the tax reserves. To increase our reserves, we decided that we're going to minimize the corruption in the tax sector. Because you can see in the box, maybe there is, let me see if I have a tax reserve box here, something to explain it better. But you can see that we have almost 45% of royalties, of taxes, of many things that we collect. And yet, we don't see that value. What we are saying now is that we simply are going to take 30% of all gold extracted, all minerals extracted as income tax, no royalties, nothing. Just 30% of everything extracted from the multinational, and it goes directly into our reserves. And that's where we quadruple the value. We multiply the value. So our taxes, one, is not going to go missing again. But two, it's going to be in the form of raw material. And three, our industrial platforms will quadruple that. We need the reserves. That determines how rich we are, how wealthy we are in the country. And for me, we have found something good for Ghana. I hope the African countries will take this blueprint as well and start making sure that they have their own reserve banks, just like all the first-class countries in the world. They have reserves. That being said, I would like to take you to Pillar 6. I think this is my favorite. But I know I have a lot of favorites in these 12 pillars. Now, these pillars are supposed to be the pillars that hold the structure of this country. We look at this country as a structure. Before we can protect the roof of this country, before we can protect the floors of this country, the grounds of this country, the foundation of this country. And that's why I believe that the Smith Revolution is going to revolutionize Ghana. Now let's go into this. The Smith Revolution is solving three major needs, but I also call it major problems of Ghanaians. And that's health, education, and accommodation. Currently, contributors of Smith have to pay and wait up to 40 years to pension before they be qualified for their claims. Some will die halfway, and it will not even be given to their children. Some will never even see this. but we have changed it. As from now, we would say that our policy would be turning the turning SNIT into nation's insurance fund. This insurance fund is interesting, and I'll have to take you through it. Ghanaians will now be eligible to claim for their health, education, and accommodation. How so? Because in the next 5 years, you can claim your SNIT back. You can claim it in cash, or you can invest it in insurance. If you invested in insurance, and then you have one of the major problems or the needs in Ghana, which is either I've lost my job and I don't have somewhere to stay, that your 5,000 or 10,000 savings in SNITs can become times 10 to get you home. An accommodation, somewhere to stay, you can put in the claim. You can put in the claim when you have a major health issue, like how you go to hospitals and the people die first because maybe they don't have the cash first. This policy is cure me first, deal me later. You can go to the insurance fund. We're not going to let people in the country be homeless and fall out on the street because they have no job. Your SNIT fund is supposed to be able to become the insurer that will get you that home. And this is what is going to happen. Once we do all of this, we're going to create a fund. This fund will guarantee payment for investors. So I'm a developer. I will be interested if I know that 100,000 Ghanaians will rent homes from me as long as there is a claim and guarantee payment. So it makes sense for me to put a feasibility study together for whatever investment partners and do that development because it turns around. It's also going to attract, investors in the hospital area. It's going to attract even educational facilities. It will bring all of that together. I know that this SNIT revolution might be stepping on some conditions that already exist. But sometimes we need to change our clothes when they're too old or when they're dirty. We just need to move on. It's another day. So let's change it and let's move on. Now, Pillar 7. I know I've been saying a nation, you educate the woman of that nation, and it will transcend, it will go down further. We believe that education in this country needs to be tweaked, changed, make it adaptable to our culture. And that's why Pillar 7 introduces to you industrialization. It's industrialization with education coming together. We currently grow this work by merging industrialization and education. Why do we continue to use a curricula and a syllabus that are over a century old? And why is it talking about Europe and America? Why can't you study about your ground? Why don't you know about how to dig your gold? Why does it have to take somebody to come from outside to find where your gold is? Why do you have to give your cocoa to someone before he turns it to chocolate for you? What happened? What happened to you knowing about your seed? That you have oil in there and it can create petrol for you. We need to educate Ghanaian children about Ghanaian values, culture, minerals, the minerals and how it gets processed, and agriculture and the values that will come out of it, the power of supply and distribution. We need to westernize the curriculum. And that's exactly what we're doing. We need to build an industrial mindset, very important. Industrialize the curriculum, tailor education to our industrial needs. And out of that, we're going to start building entrepreneurs. We're going to start building industrialists. We're going to start building business leaders. See, what I've realized about Ghana's education is you spend 21 years of educating yourself, and then after, you go look for a job, only to find out that there are no vacancies. When you can be a businessman before you even get your degree, why do we keep going out there looking for jobs? Build the value of our nation. There is a need to protect it. And let us educate our children. So wherever we leave for them, they can guide it. and it can build a future for the ones who are coming. I'd like to take you to pillar 8 right now.